Turtle.
Right, and the
Right.
7-Eleven has nothing to do with getting a Slurpee.
I know. Yes, no, it definitely doesn't. But and Chip, that's a great point because the integration of breath and body and mind and massage all contribute to the activation of our parasympathetic nervous system's healing neural hormones and the inhibition of the sympathetic system action hormones. So systems action hormones, I mean. So it's our stress responses are much less, and all it takes is a moment. There's 24 hours in a day, right? You sleep. The average person sleeps between 5 and 8 of those hours, and then what are you doing for the rest of the day? Yeah, you're working, you're walking, whatever it might be, but being in that moment is the most important part because if you're trying to meditate and thoughts come through your mind, that's normal. I mean, it's a practice as with anything. The more we do something, the better we're going to get. And it's just holding ourselves accountable for being disciplined. And it's self care, it's self love, it's remembering to, like you said, Chip, to take a step back and pause for a moment and think, how important is my health to me? How important is my family and my friends? And if I'm not healthy, then it's going to impact everybody else along with yourself. So just by the breathing and just by doing these minor movements that don't look like much, I mean, you're working every cell of your being to
Yeah,
do
and
this.
basically what it is it's just getting back to the basics. I mean, we do a lot of things automatically in our bodies, but the one thing that we do mostly unconsciously that we can be conscious of at any time is our breathing. And as far as taking control of that, yes, even Buddha has trouble meditating and has thoughts going through his head and so on and so forth. But if you can take that 60,000 a day and knock it down by a couple thousand just by concentrating on your breath, it does a world of difference. So
Yeah, and that's great, Chip, that it's never too late. And I'm glad that you mentioned that you started this a couple years ago because there's times when I meditate and I still, my mind still wanders. I mean, it's a practice, right? So if I can, even eating, right? You can take a raisin or a cracker and chew it and actually think about the taste. You know, how does it smell? How does it feel? You know, what is it? Is it salty? Is it sweet? You know, really thinking about the consistency of what you're eating and how many of us really do that, you know, and that is a form of meditation. It might not be meditating where you're just thinking of clouds passing by and then those are your thoughts and allowing them to pass by because that's all we are. Our thoughts create who we are. But even that could be something that somebody can start doing where let me just eat a little bit slower. Or before I go to sleep, let me try this breathing technique like a 7-Eleven breath. Some people that have been diagnosed with the coronavirus are not able to breathe right. So that's why I mentioned in the video that even if you can take an inhale for a count of 3 or 4 and exhale for a count of 5, it's something. You know, at least it's a start, you know, to do a few rounds a day and even journal that. You know, how do you feel after you take these breaths? You know, what did you feel before and how do you feel now? Because is it really worth yelling at somebody or getting angry? And we're the only ones that can control our emotions, and Qigong can help us with that.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
go
actually heard
ahead.
the eating thing with that's going back to I think John Kabat-Zinn, and basically what it is it's just present moment awareness and just
Right.
devoting your whole attention to that without thinking anything. Again, what you're doing is you're freeing up your mind, not having thoughts at that time, and just enjoying the present for what it is. I mean, I'm sitting out here looking out into the woods, which I'm fortunate enough that's been my office since 1996, and a little breather, I can just look out there and see what's going on. So if you just become more aware of what's going on, and a great way to do that, just look at something and just take a breath in and breath out and appreciate what's right in front of you.
Yeah, there's so much to be thankful for. There really is. I mean, so much. I mean, would you like me to share some of the health benefits also? I know we just talked about a lot, but there's more.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, good. So I know that they've one of the things is cancer, and a combination with conventional methods and qigong. improves our immune function, mood status, muscle mobility, and strength, just basically overall quality of life. And when you combine Qi Gong with these treatments, like getting these cancer treatments, the side effects are reduced. And sometimes people don't they don't have chemo anymore. And of course, they need to believe that it's working, and that if you just move and you're not, like Chip said, if you're not in the moment and practicing, I mean, you need to practice at least a half an hour to an hour a day, especially if you do have cancer. Parkinson's disease has been helpful for reducing the side effects, and people have gotten off medication from that. It reduces high blood pressure. There was a 20-year study of people who practiced Qigong reduced their blood pressure medication, and those that were in the control group, they increased theirs. So that's interesting, and it also improves our immune system. The white blood cell count, increases, but it has to be about a month of doing a daily practice of about 30 minutes for the white blood cells to increase. Strokes as well. There's been 50% reduction of deaths from the causes of strokes. There's menopause, arthritis, psychological well-being, and just balance, flexibility, and motor skills. I mean, I can go into details for each one, but I don't know if we have the time, but those are just some of the benefits from practicing Qigong. And it's also not intimidating, like some yoga might come across very intimidating, but Qigong is rooted, I mean, this is over 4,000 years of various different practices, like the 24 form, and there's a centering set, there's the 8 brigade, like I mentioned, that I'm still learning about. I mean, I've been practicing yoga a lot longer than Qigong, but I find that the combination of the two is very beneficial in my life, so why not share it with others?
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think it's important for people to realize that you don't have to be intimidated by all of this. I
Right.
do guided meditations each night, and one thing that is on the guided meditation that I absolutely love is that the woman who's conducting this periodically reminds you that it's about progress, not perfection.
Mhm.
So it's okay that you're not doing everything perfectly. You're still getting benefits, and you get better each time you do it.
That's right.
And
Yep,
I loved what you said about the raisin, because I actually do an exercise with my clients that's actually very similar to this. People so often, grab their morning coffee from a coffee shop or Starbucks or whatever, and they never think about it. And I have my clients go through this exercise where they get their cup of coffee, but not in a styrofoam cup. They get it in an actual ceramic mug. And the first step is to actually feel the mug and feel the heat coming off of it and smell the coffee, and actually take moments to smell and enjoy that coffee and think about what it tastes like, rather than just a sugar and caffeine buzz to get you through the day.
Right, and that's a great point you're mentioning, because Qigong enhances your energy and also slows down the aging process. So sometimes you don't even need a cup of coffee. It's how you're breathing and what you're doing with that breath to energize your well-being, to give you that natural boost that you need. And that's why I post some of these videos through, different times of the day, because it's like if you're sitting in front of your computer, or you're typing, or whatever you're doing, get up, move around, stretch a bit, breathe. It's like you're saying, you have these, some of us were born with all of our senses, and some of us weren't. And, that's something to be grateful for and thankful for the senses that we do have. So like you said, yes, feel everything that's going on, hear what's going on, see it, smell it, taste it. I mean, that's powerful. And that you can really enjoy that cup of coffee, because not many people can get a cup of coffee for whatever the reason might be. But it's those simple pleasures in life that some of us don't or not really, but I guess almost take for granted, you know?
Yeah, and that's something I would love for people to learn that before they have to. I learned that lesson the hard way. I think it's about 9 years or so ago. I started to lose my sight and became legally blind.
Oh,
So
wow.
I started to sort of appreciate sound and smell and taste. And my son finds it absolutely hysterical because I'll be able to say what's going on around from what I'm smelling. And then he'll see it. Like we were at an expo one day and I he caught me making this face. And he said, what's wrong? He goes, and I said, you don't smell that? He goes, what are you smelling? I said, it's burnt popcorn and cotton candy. And about 2 minutes later, we came across the stand that was selling it, and he just looked at me like, how did you know that was there? It's like, because I could smell it.
Oh, wow.
We rely on what we're used to, and it's really
Yes.
important to spread out into all of your senses and to not just leave your breathing to your autonomic system, but to actually think about it.
You're right. It's true, and that's why when I was in my yoga teacher training, we did an entire yoga session blindfolded, and we had our teacher make sure we weren't going to fall down or anything, but it made us realize that what's going on internally. How do you feel your balance? How are you breathing? And it's so you don't have sight. It doesn't mean you still can't practice yoga or meditation or Qi Gong. It's how do you move, and feeling that. I mean, even, briefly, even just our toes and our hands and fingers. I mean, we neglect those immensely. And that our toes, our feet, they give us the balance. And, we should stretch our toes and spread them out and massage our feet and massage our hands and thank them every day and not ignore them for the things that they do for us. So I don't want to get sidetracked, but it's things like that we tend to ignore as well. Our hands and our feet, people say I have feet problems and this, but it's like, well, what are you doing? What kind of shoes are you wearing? How are you walking? Are you taking care of your feet? And some of it is genetic, but we can reverse that. It takes work, but we can do a lot of things to change our DNA. I mean, enough studies have shown that can happen.
Yeah, there's actually, talking about changing your DNA, there is a fantastic book called Super Genes by Deepak Chopra.
Oh my goodness! I actually saw a workshop on. I mean, we went to an event where he spoke at. He's incredible.
Yeah, and this is a fantastic book, and it talks about how you can actually change your genes by what you eat and the exercises you do and the meditations that you do. So this is a fairly well documented phenomenon that you can do. So
What's the name of the book again?
It's called Super Genes.
Okay, thank you.
And it's Deepak Chopra wrote it. And he has a co-author who's actually a biochemist, and I'm blanking on his name. But if you search for Super Genes by Deepak Chopra, you'll find the book.
He was talking about that. He was at the Waterbury Theater a couple months ago, and the place was packed. This was back in February, and he was talking about what you're mentioning about DNA, and earlier I mentioned how Qi penetrates to the bone marrow. Remember I was mentioning that, and it's like a healing, it's like a resource for healing and empowerment. Well, our bones, given our bones are distributed in all parts of the body, their contribution to the overall function of Qi is pervasive throughout the body. So that's powerful. To know that your life can be longer of course it's a combination of how you're eating, what you're eating, when you're eating, how you're breathing. I mean, it's a combination of all these things.